Together we're navigating, one step each.
Hello, hello. Thank you everyone for coming in. Give me just a moment. I'm just letting everybody in. If you want, while we're getting everybody on the call, if you want to tell me how your day's been going, please jump off mute. Just give me a little something so I know that we are here and excited and ready to learn today. Who do I see on the call? I see Sierra and Monty. I see Sanai. Hey, hey, Sanaya. Got a couple of other people jumping in. Hi, Miss Wanda. Right. Okay. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. And if you can see my screen. So there's two things I'm asking you for. Can you hear me and see my screen? If you can do both of those, give me a thumbs up. And then we'll get started shortly. I like to give it a few minutes before I begin. Hey, Cinnamon, I see you. Thank you for joining us. That way we can let everybody get in and we don't have to leave anybody behind. All right, if you see me looking over to the side, that's because I'm letting people in, so just give me a moment. All right. It is 5:33, so we are going to go ahead and get started. I am going to take a second every now and again to let people in, just so I can make sure everyone who wants to join us is here with us tonight. But officially, welcome home, Wayfinders. And for those of you that are returning, and if you are new, welcome aboard. The whole purpose of these weekly calls, for those of you who have not been with us before, is just to basically gather around as a community as educators and support one another, learn from one another, and just to grow overall. It is definitely a safe space, so feel free if there is something that strikes a chord with you and you want to vent a little, share a little, just get some things off of your chest. Please, please, please feel more than welcome to do that. The best way for us to grow is to grow together as a community. So I'm so glad each of you decided to spend part of your evening here. I know 5:30 is late, but I wanted to get and stick to a time that could potentially still work for you when school begins and you are rocking and rolling. So every Wednesday reminds me of why we built this community. It's our harbor, a place where we can celebrate our wins, uh, be honest with one another, learn from one another, and remember, most importantly, that we cannot navigate education alone. There are so many things that we have to learn, and it changes so often. So we cannot do it alone. Um, Tonight we are going to be talking about something that seems simple on the surface. It seems like, oh, well, you're talking about communication. Okay, that's easy. I've been doing that since the first day I've been teaching, or that's the first thing we talk about in student teaching. But um, communication has the power to shape your entire school year. And I want to start with a question. I like to pose a question in the beginning of each call, just to have you on track and have something to think about. My question to you is, have you ever felt like you met someone before you actually met them? Like maybe another teacher told you about a principal, or another teacher told you about a student that's coming to you this year, or maybe a parent shared something about a teacher before the first day of school. If that's ever happened to you, if you've ever felt that way, give me a heart, like in the chat, something to know, let us know as a community that we're not alone. So have you ever felt like you've met someone before you've actually met them? Yes, I see you, Constance. Thank you. Anybody else? Just Constance? Okay, Cinnamon too. Awesome. So we want to make sure we have the ability to kind of beat that for ourselves. Like, we don't want the first time someone hears about us to be from someone else. you want to make sure you have that first impression ready to go. And the same thing happens with educators. Long before our families ever walk into our classrooms, they may see our bulletin boards, they may hear from another parent, they might hear from another student that's been in your class the year before about how you teach or what your lessons are like. So, more often than not, your welcome letter or email is not the first time they're going to hear about you. So, tonight is about, well, intentionally shaping that first impression and building trust before that first bell ever rings or that first bus ever arrived. Now, before we move on, I want to take a note back to last week because I did call and check on some of you guys who were on the call last week about the challenge for the week. So this is that moment. I told you it was coming. Last week, we talked about your teacher command center and building that and what that looks like. And we said that all of your systems need a home. All of the files and lessons that you create need a strategic place to go so that you and your team can find them. That's how command centers work most efficiently. It is organized in a way that you immediately know where it is. Now, some of you are coaches, some of you are leaders. And so I challenged you all to organize one area of your life. So, how did it go? If you're not ready now, I'm letting you know this is going to be one of those Waypoint Weeklies where you, my friends, you're going to have to talk. So, for
Ready.
anybody,
I'm ready. I'm
oh,
ready.
you're okay, you're SpongeBob ready. Go ahead.
I actually organized my office. Trying to start an office, but the office had everything in it besides office stuff. So I took out all the toys. I took out all the plates, cups. I went through all the markers. I went through all the mail that should have not gone in there. And now it is exactly that, an office space. So whenever I need it, I can find it. I don't have to look, think, pull, shift. I can go right to it. So right now I am organized in office space. I just have to find something to office.
Oh, well, you have something to office. You are a community engagement specialist. We've already discussed that. We're working on that goal for you. So I am very proud of you. Everybody give Miss Stacy a round of applause, celebration, some hearts. Let her know that we are proud of her. I am proud of you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Anybody else on the call organized either their workspace, their desktop, Google Drive, anything like that? I think I saw a hand come up, but I wasn't sure. Or was that somebody trying to clap and celebrate? Miss Rita, I know you're on the call. Oh, Cinnamon, go ahead. I saw your hand.
I'm moving up to sixth grade this year, so it's my first time in sixth grade. So I've
Okay.
been organizing my Google Drive and kind of just putting things in there just to kind of set up for the new, I guess, having three classes instead of just one class.
That is definitely a task. And because of that, I wish you had been on the call last night, well, last Wednesday. We went through strategically how to like set that up so that you can be successful. If you don't mind, I will send you the YouTube link from that call so that way maybe it can give you some ideas of how to organize it, how to organize your teacher command center. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. But I am proud of you that you started, especially in your summer. So that's a huge win. Everybody give Cinnamon some celebrations there, some hearts. Let her know she's not alone. Thank you. And I do want to check in with Miss Rita because I know she's on the call. And I think that's all that was here last week. So, Miss Rita, if you're on the call, can you share with us today? I think we might have lost her. It's all right. So,
Yes, ma'am. I'm
oh,
here.
there you go.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm here. Okay, so I was working on the living room today and also getting some ideas on how I would like to rearrange my bedroom and make it, more like for me.
Mhm.
So I know it's little things, but I'm starting, little. But I can feel a difference in me becoming a different person. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's going to be my own space. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Thank you for sharing. I'm proud of that. Like one of the main things that we always say is a clear space leads to a clear mind. So that is huge, and I thank you for sharing that with the team. Give her some celebrations, everyone. So one of the things that I love about this community is that we don't celebrate perfection. We celebrate progress because every small change, every small course correction, it matters. One small degree can be a huge shift in who you are and how you operate. And that's why this connects to what we're doing tonight. Because the communication systems that we're about to build will need to live somewhere. If you have files and templates for emails that you send to parents, how you communicate consistently, or even what last week's lesson was, so that you can relay that to parents so they know what to prepare for the following week. All of that needs to have an organized place to live. So that's why I wanted to do your command center first and then shift over to how to communicate and what we are communicating. So thank you guys for sharing one system that you improved this week. And so now we're going to shift our perspective just a minute as we talk about family communication and what that can look like and what it should look like for you for the rest of the school year. So I want you to take a look at this image for a moment. Now, that parent has not met their teacher yet. They haven't visited the classroom. They haven't heard about this teacher's classroom management, lesson plans, or received any student work of any kind. But the key point is, if you look closely at the image, is they're already receiving a message from the teacher. And that begins shaping how they feel about the year ahead. And I want to let you know something that we really don't, as educators, talk about enough. We spend a lot of our time talking about how teachers are nervous to talk to parents. But in reality, parents are nervous to talk to us too. They don't really know how we operate, and so that can be a little bit off-putting. So most parents want to know that their child is safe, that their child will be welcomed and understood. And if the teacher will really truly care about them as a person, as a parent, and as the child, and their kid isn't just another name on a student roster. Um, because nowadays we could have upwards of 20 to sometimes 30 students, and that can be a little overwhelming for a parent to know, because they might be like, will my child really get everything that they deserve? Will they be seen? So don't just feel like you're the only one that's nervous. They're nervous too on the other end. And sometimes we as educators forget that communication isn't just information, it's reassurance. It's our first opportunity to say to our parents, I'm excited to partner with you and that your child matters here. That's why tonight isn't about just writing a welcome letter. I mean, yes, everybody knows for most districts we have to do that. But it's really about helping families feel like they're already a part of your classroom community before they ever walk through that classroom door. So here's my next question for you guys, and I'm going to ask you to either come off mute or share in the chat. When you think about communicating with families, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And if you are a coach, when you think about communicating with your client community, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? How do you engage with them?
So actually, I can chime in on that one.
Okay.
What I'd like to say is I make sure that they know that I'm a down to earth person and that they are safe in this space with me. And whatever they're telling me is definitely confidential and just between me and them. I make them feel comfortable. That's what
That's huge. And I commend you on that, because letting your clients or parents, in this case for educators, your parent is your client in a sense. So letting them know that you are a down to earth person means so much, because that means that you're relatable and that they can connect with you. So that is something I definitely want you guys to carry through on your communication journey. Anybody else want to share before we move along? Okay. All right. So I want you to think back to your first, or when you first started, whether it was your first year of teaching, last year, the beginning of the year. I want you to think back to your first impression. What was that like? What did you do that had the biggest impact on you and the school year? What was the first impression that your students received from you? If for anybody on the call, it was like just back to school night or open house, just give me a thumbs up and let me know. Like, if that's it for everybody on the call. Okay. So for most teachers, that first impression is just that open house and back to school night. And we really truly want to avoid that. We want to be in the habit of sending a thoughtful welcome letter before that first time they meet you. Or many of us I know many of us are trying to still survive the summer and survive that first setup, but that first message is so important. And I want you to know there's no judgment if open house is your first communication. We just want to build on that and improve, like, because we've all been there at some point. Oh, wow. I see you, Cinnamon. She said her school requires them to send phone calls during pre-service before meet and greet. That is wonderful. I know it could sound like it's something like you have to do, but it's very powerful. So I'm glad that your district requires you guys to do that. Because here's what I've learned over the years. Silence communicates too. Okay? If we don't intentionally introduce ourselves to families, clients, whether they're adults or children who we're working with, then those blanks and empty spaces is where they build their own assumptions. And we don't want that, because first impressions matter far too much. We want to be able to be in charge of our own story and our own impression. All right. I want to share a personal story with you about my communication journey, because I wasn't always the fantastic communicator that you see before you today. Um, I intentionally would not, I didn't have a problem communicating at all. I was over communicating. So that can be a problem too. I sent out emails, and then I would send pictures 2, 3, 4 times a day. And then I would send weekly newsletters, and then I would send test reminders and homework updates, and when report cards were coming out. I think I posted probably every couple hours on the hour. And what I realized is this is overwhelming. I literally had a parent come to me and tell me, hey, I don't need to know all of that. I just need to know that my kid's okay and when they have a test. And it completely shifted my mindset on communication. You can also overcompensate. Parents really don't need more communication. They need focused, tailored communication and consistency. They need to know when you're sending what, whether it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever the case may be. They need to know when those folders are coming home. Your clients need to know when they're going to get their updates from you, all those types of things. Because if you inundate them with too much information, then they can't find what they need. So the question now becomes, how do we build the trust that we need consistently And I want to take you on that journey on doing that. I want to introduce you to a framework that helps you build that process and that flow. So, one, you're not lacking in your communication, but two, you're also not overwhelming your parent in the same token. Okay. One question that I get asked a lot is how often should I communicate with families? So, based off of that story I just told you, my answer usually surprise people because most educators think you need to communicate all the time, or the more you communicate, the better. But the real answer is you communicate with purpose. So that's why I created this compass that's in front of you now, the communication compass. It's just like how a captain doesn't set sail by like guessing which direction they go. It lays out for you the foundation of how and when to communicate. So we're going to just go over those directions a little bit. The first one at the top is obviously you're welcome, and that's your north point. This is where your relationship begins. It's when you talk about just the environment and community. It should be light and airy. This is before we ever talk about grades or expectations and behavior. You simply want to welcome families into your classroom community. And that's why the welcome letter or your meet the teacher night, or if you're fancy and send a welcome video or phone call, that's why this is so important. It's that first message that they get. It should be warm, inviting, and welcoming. Then we have your east. This is your updates. Parents should not have to wonder what's going to happen in the classroom. You want to avoid as many questions as possible and be as transparent as possible with your families so that there's no confusion. So something like a quick weekly update or a reminder, or even a classroom highlight of like something that's going great in the classroom that week can keep the positive flow and keep everyone moving in the correct direction. Um, that's going to be huge for you because if you let them know ahead of time what's going on, then they won't have as many questions later. Next, we're going to talk about your celebrations. And I want to encourage you to not let the first phone call be something that has to do with a problem. All too often, parents will say, "Well, I didn't hear from that teacher until my kid did something wrong," and that is not building that partnership with parents. So we want to make sure that it's positive, that first connection, and you're celebrating effort and growth or kindness. Those little moments build emotional like equity with your families. It builds that relationship and tie that you have with them. Last but not least, we're going to talk about our West. This is the most difficult section. It's those harder conversations. But I want to give you some reassurance because when you've already built that trust through all of those other areas, when the time comes for you to have a difficult conversation with a parent, it won't feel so harsh. It will be more like a partnership and a guided relationship with your families. So that is kind of how we're going to look at communication in this cycle. We want to make sure we follow this flow to avoid that overwhelming feeling that a parent may have when their child has done something that needs a little bit of a correction. So, if you remember no other phrase from this live tonight, I want you to remember that parents don't need more communication. They need predictable communication. They don't expect us to email them every single day. Most families are just as busy as we are. What they really want to know is that they can count on us and they can depend on us. So think about like the businesses that you trust. It's not because you contact them constantly. You're not calling like Nike every day to know that they're still doing the same thing. You're not going over to Starbucks to ask to speak to the manager 2 days a week because you want to make sure your drink is exactly the same. Because you know what to expect. You know it's going to be there. The same should be true in education. If your families know that they're going to hear from you every Friday afternoon, then they'll stop wondering why they haven't heard from you in the middle of the week, like on Tuesday. And if they know that you celebrate students regularly, a difficult phone call won't feel like the defining moment of your relationship. So remember that consistency creates your confidence, and then your confidence is going to create and build trust with your families. So I've done all that talking. And I know some people on the call are probably saying, well, I don't know what to say to parents right off the back, or I don't want to sound cheesy, or I've already written my welcome letter 5 times already. Oh, I have a raised hand. Yes.
So would you recommend talking to parents like you recommend talking to parents on like a weekly basis just to give updates about like during the school year about progress and lack of progress or growth or areas where you feel they could benefit with additional support as well?
Okay, so I think it really depends on the number of students that you have. Okay.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So if you are in a district where you have 12 to 15 students, which would probably be a more rural area, then yeah, I would say absolutely try to check in with each family once a week because that's manageable. But
Yes.
if you are in a situation where you have 20 plus to 30 students, I would say batch your students and say, okay, I know every first week I'm going to call these 10 parents. Every second week, I'm going to call these 10 parents, and every third. So build a cycle. So they should know by the second week of the month, they should be hearing from you, or the third week of the month, they should be hearing from you. Create a schedule that way so that it's manageable and maintainable. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Of course. I'm always huge on, small degrees, small shifts to make the biggest impact. I don't want you to ever take on something so huge and feel like it's unattainable or you never will get it done. So yes, you want to have a rhythm to how you contact your parents, depending on how many students you have. Okay. So as we're talking about this fantastic letter that you should be able to send in the beginning if you're not sending phone calls, like some people in their district, you may not know exactly what to say. So we are going to build one together. Um, we're going to build one together on this call tonight. And I want you to know that we're not going to write every single sentence. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me type, but we are going to go through the different sections and think about what could be good to say, what could be better to say, and what might be best to say. So we're going to build this one section at a time. And one of the things that I want you to notice is that we're not going to start with classroom rules. We are not going to start with your supply list, and we're not even going to start with expectations. Our goal is to start with gratitude, okay? So I'm going to stop. I'm going to share both a document with you guys, and I'm going to share it on my screen. So everybody cross fingers that technology will tech today and things will work out fine. All right. Let's see. We're going to stop sharing. All right. If you can see by screen, I'd like for you to give me a wonderful thumbs up or say yes in the chat for me. Can everybody see my screen okay? Yes, thank you. All right. We are going to build this together. Now, I want you to understand that this is going to take participation from the group, from the crew. So we're going to work together to do this. So our first section is going to be our greeting. Now, as you, do I need to like increase it or is it good? Can everybody see okay? We need to make it a little bit larger. Okay. All right. Okay. So here we go. Our first section is going to be our greeting. Now, there's different ways that we can start our letter, but I'm going to go through the ones that I have here selected. So we could start off our letter with just parents. We could start off our letter saying, "Dear families," or we could start off our letter saying, "Welcome families and caregivers." What do we think might be the best option? 1, 2, or 3? Oh, don't make me call on somebody.
Welcome families and caregivers.
Welcome family and caregivers. Absolutely. We want to make sure our welcome is inclusive because they may not be staying with a family member, or if they are staying with a family member, we don't know if they're necessarily parents. So we want to keep it completely generic as we can, but still be warm and welcoming. The next part would be our opening. We could say, "I am happy to be your child's teacher, excited or honored." What do you think what might be the best choice here? Excited, happy, or honored? I am going to pick on my lovely friend. Let's see. We're going to go with Miss Stacy. Which one should we pick? Happy, excited, or honored?
Happy,
You're gonna go with happy?
I guess. Honored, honored.
Honored. Okay. I would have gone honored. Happy is okay. There's always a good, better, best. I would definitely go with honored. I'm honored to be your child's teacher this year because I love teaching. Every child deserves a safe space, or I believe that every child has an incredible potential, and I can't wait to help them grow.
Mm, Number 2.
That you love teaching?
Mm,
Ashley?
try Ashley. Go to Ashley.
Yeah, I was like, Ashley, help her out.
Did she?
She should be here.
I am here. I'm sorry. My phone was being weird. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
So I'm honored to be your child's teacher this year because
Every child deserves to have a great year. I love
yes,
teaching. Okay.
every child deserves a
A
great
great
year.
year.
We want to
Okay.
prioritize them to make sure we're here for them and the families feel like we're prioritizing their child's well-being.
I will take that. Absolutely. All right. Then we have an about me section. This is where it can get a little tricky. In this section, we don't want to go into talking about our favorite colors, snacks, um, telling them all about our family and our children. We want the letter to remain mostly about them. So, if I was saying, "I want you to know," would we say that my classroom is built on kindness, curiosity, growth, and meaningful relationships? That I want you to know that I enjoy teaching, or that my classroom is a positive learning environment? What do you feel like would be the best choice? And we're going to go with cinnamon for this one.
I would either do the first one or the last one.
Okay, it's up to you. We're building it together. Which one would you like?
Um, I'll go with the first one.
All right. So I want you to know my classroom is built on kindness, curiosity, growth, and meaningful relationships. I believe students learn best when they feel safe, valued, and encouraged. Now, our next section should include us building a partnership. We want parents to know, or families, or our clients to know that this is not just all on us, that they have to have some input as well too. So we have 3 options. I hope that we can work together. I hope that we can build a strong partnership, or I hope that we can build a strong partnership where we communicate openly, celebrate successes, and work together. And I'm going to pick on Tony for this one. Which one do you think? Ooh, matter of fact, I'm going to switch my mind. I'm going to pick on Sanaya. I haven't heard from her all day. Sanaya, which one do you think would be the best choice? Oh, you can't respond right now. Okay. So I'll go ahead and answer this one. I would say to build the one that we see in front of us, that we're going to build a strong partnership, communicate openly, and build those successes because we want to go ahead and just give them all the ways that we can work together. And the rest of the sections are pre-filled out for us. So Stacy says, I agree. Thank you. So we're going to talk about how often they can expect to hear from us and that what families can expect. Um, the session of student support, what your goal for your students and classroom is, and then your expectations of the classroom environment. And then we're going to say, I strive to create a classroom where every student feels safe, respected, and included. So after you've done all of that, you should always round it off with your communication platform. Now, for you and your district, it could be many different things. It could be Class Dojo, Parent Square, Canvas. Some people use Peach Jar or Remind. Whatever the case is, whatever your school district uses, you want to make sure you relay that. And if you would prefer to be contacted by email, you can say that as well. And then you want to give them a invitation to contact you because you want them to know that they can contact you whenever possible, but still respect the boundaries of your time. We don't want parents emailing and messaging us at 9, 10, 11 o'clock p.m. We want us to have some boundaries. So if at this moment you want to set your time boundaries, like, hey, I'm available before and after school at these times, that will be a good space to do that. And then you want to close out with a welcoming, a closing welcome message and end it warmly. So if you do not have like a build for your lesson, your letter or a template, I'm going to make sure I share this with you. I have one completely filled out and completed here. And there's also some other resources that I will be providing in school because I've basically created a teacher communication um, toolkit for you. So not only will you receive in school your welcome letter, you will also receive templates for positive messages that you can send throughout the school year that encompass different areas and that you might want to communicate with the parent that what their child is doing well on. So there's lots of different ways that you can communicate with your families. There's a build in there for how to set up your class dojo or remind. I just want to make sure you have everything that you need to possibly be successful, and that's going to be available in your parent communication toolkit in school. So if you haven't signed up for that and you would like that, just stay on the call, end of the call, and I'll make sure you get that information to sign up. But tonight, everyone will get the link to this document that we just created together before you leave. I just want to make sure you all are set and ready to go for the end of the school year. So I'm going to transition back. Give me just a minute. Okay. All right. So I want you to know that communication doesn't end after your welcome letter. Also, all too often, we as educators send that first welcome letter off, and we hope that the rest of the school year is going to be just fine, right? That's not always the case. Things happen, things shift and change, and the momentum of the school year gets away from us sometimes. But just like I think it was Ashley brought up earlier in the call, you want to develop a routine and a schedule for how often you're speaking with parents so that they feel that strong relationship and bond with you and have those intentional positive messages that go out every month per kid. So try to develop a schedule around that and using that data bank, that message bank that I have created for you guys, will help make that a little bit easier because you don't have to think of what to say in every case. And it's also buildable. So let's say you have something that you tend to share often about a specific resource or a specific event that happens every week. You can add to that and add to your own personal templates so that you have a data bank all your own that's personalized to you. So it is editable for this reason so that you can continue to communicate with your families all year long. Here is an example of that rhythm and flow. If you need that, you could look at doing every Monday, you do a welcome moment. Every Wednesday, you share your midweek updates and quick reminders, maybe about tests and quizzes that could be coming up on Friday. A lot of districts have those CSAs and major benchmarks on Fridays. So Wednesday will be a great time to remind them, hey, your kid needs to get a little bit more sleep on Thursday night so that we have energy for Friday's assessment. So those types of things. And then on Fridays, you want to finish strong with celebrations. You always want to end the end of the week with something positive so that it leaves them with a good taste in their mouth for the weekend to come into school on Monday. All right. So this is where I'm going to ask from you. You can drop it in the chat or you can say it out loud. What point of communication or which communication habit do you think will make the biggest impact or difference for you this year? Let's see.
Okay, so I would say being clear and precise with everything that you're wanting from the parents and communication for you and them to have together to further their child in education. Yeah,
Being clear and concise. And I know specifically for you that you are on the coaching side of teaching, right?
yes,
So
ma'am.
so for you, that conciseness will be huge with your client. Because when you're telling them, after you've spoken with them and you have worked out like a problem that they've come to you with, you want to make sure what you're asking them to do is very short, succinct, and concise so that they actually follow it. Think,
Absolutely.
right? And just think about what I do with you guys every week. I give you one task to do. If I gave you five, how many of you think you would get them all done? Pretty much nobody, right? You're not going to do all of that. You want to give them one thing to focus, be concise. And I see Constance put in the chat, being consistent. That's why families don't feel like they need to search for the information. Yes, that way. I love that. Thank you. And then Cinnamon, she said, agree. I agree. Being transparent and setting up the communication expectations, especially since you'll be working with more parents and more students. Absolutely. Thank you guys for sharing that information. Thank you for sharing with your community. I do want you to know that what you're answering and what you're sharing, it doesn't just help you. It does solidify what you're going to work on this year, but it also may help someone else on the call. So I always appreciate those of you who share out with your community and with your crew. So here is your task for this week. I want you to think about creating a positive message bank if you have not, because I want you to remember that one positive message can change everything. I want you to think about that, maybe that tough client or that tough parent that you might have had a year before. That relationship could have been drastically changed by them receiving a positive message about their child, that their child is doing well. And it could be something so simple. If you look at the message that we have on the screen here that says, Kai has had an amazing day in his class. He showed leadership and kindness. Something like that can shift the whole relationship that you have with a family. All right. So in this moment, your challenge for this week is either to set up your welcome letter or positive messages, or set up your communication system if you are a coach in the coaching field, right? You want to set up how often are you going to check in on your clients? How often are you going to check in on your team? Same thing with education if you're in the K-12 classroom. How often are you going to send messages to parents? How often do you plan on checking in with your batches of students? That is your goal for this week. I want to make sure that when you return next Wednesday on Waypoint Weekly, we can share what we have created, because I say every week, when you make a commitment with a group and with a community, you are more apt to stick to it. So I'll be checking in on you guys throughout the week to see how you did. If you receive a text message from me, please do not be surprised. It will come, because I just want to make sure that we are sticking on this path together. So it is 6:17. I'm doing good. All right. So you know that our goal is to end by 6:30 or before, no extra after school hours. So in this moment, it is a celebration harbor. If you have any huge wins that you've had this week, they can be personal, they can be life, it can be professional. I want you to have that time to be celebrated by your crew. So is there anybody on the call that has had any major wins this week? No new clients, no new job opportunities, nobody a new parent. Okay. I'm going to take that as this week has been a little bit of a slow week, and that's okay. We're not going to have huge celebrations every week, but if you do and you just aren't able to share out loud, please drop it in the chat so I can make sure that I give you a call and celebrate you and what you've accomplished this week. So I thank you all for joining us. It is 6:18, so we're right on time. And until next Wednesday, please, everyone, keep your compass steady, protect your peace, and remember you don't have to navigate education alone. Now go set sail. Bye, everybody. If you want to stay on the call for feedback or questions, it's Q&A time. So you are more than able to do that. But if not, I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, family, let's talk. What's going on in the world out there?
We are no longer being recorded.
You're waiting for that part? Okay.
Yeah.